Today we're getting into a really fascinating puzzle in human evolution. Researchers call it the Darwinian paradox of autism spectrum disorder.
It's a huge contradiction when you really look at it. I mean, the numbers alone are striking. ASD is, up to 1 in 36 people now? And it's incredibly heritable.
We're talking 60 to 90% heritability.
Uh-huh.
So if evolution is supposed to weed out traits that make it harder to, fit in and reproduce, why is this one still so common?
Well, the sources we're looking at today suggest it's not a bug, it's a feature. Or maybe a side effect of a very powerful feature.
A byproduct. The core idea seems to be that the very genes that create risk for ASD also gave our ancestors, a huge cognitive advantage. It was the price we paid for becoming so smart.
Exactly. And to understand that price, you have to look at the instruction manual, our genome. Specifically at these parts of our DNA that changed incredibly fast in our lineage. They're called human accelerated regions, or HR.
Okay, so these are the genetic hotspots that drove our big, complex brains. What happens when you cross-reference those with ASD?
The connection is, it's really stark. They found kids with ASD were 6.5 times more likely to have brand new mutations right in those HRs.
6.5 times. So it's not random. It suggests autism is sort of baked into the system that made us human in the first place.
It's an intrinsic vulnerability, and this is where it gets even more interesting with this idea of pleiotropy.
Where one gene can influence a bunch of different traits.
Exactly. So the genetic risk scores for autism, they consistently correlate with things like high intelligence, getting more education, and just, being a very systematic thinker.
So the risk alleles are also the advantage alleles. That makes sense. But how did that help us survive in, say, the Stone Age? Before there were science degrees.
Right. That takes us to the ancestral environment. The leading theory here is the solitary forager hypothesis. It reframes traits we might see as deficits today.
Like needing less social interaction or that intense, deep focus.
Precisely. For a solitary forager in the Pleistocene, that wasn't a deficit, it was a specialization. That obsessive drive to systemize and find patterns wasn't for social rules, it was for tracking prey or figuring out which plants were safe to eat.
And you can actually see the evidence for this in the archaeological record, can't you? You're talking about those ancient tools, the Acheulean hand axes.
They are incredible. They're complex, they're symmetrical, making one required planning, precision, a real eye for detail, all hallmarks of that autistic cognitive style. It's like the autistic mind was the R&D department for early humanity.
That's a powerful way to put it. But, okay, how does that system keep going today when the social challenges can be so significant?
2 main ideas here. First one is called assortative mating.
Like seeks like.
Basically, yeah. People who are high systemizers, engineers, programmers, scientists, they tend to cluster together. Think Silicon Valley. And studies have shown higher rates of ASD in tech hubs, like Eindhoven in the Netherlands. So when 2 high systemizers have a child, that child gets a concentrated dose of those genes, which can push them over the diagnostic threshold.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second mechanism, kin selection.
Kin selection, it's about inclusive fitness. So even if an individual with clinical ASD doesn't have many or any children themselves, they could have massively boosted the survival of their relatives, their nieces and nephews.
So the master toolmaker, or the person who knew every single animal track, the one who kept the whole family alive through a tough winter.
You've got it. They're the helper at the nest, making sure their shared genes get passed on indirectly.
So wrapping this all up, the big picture is that ASD isn't a mistake. It's a vital and ancient part of human variation. The struggle today is more of an evolutionary mismatch.
A mind built for the open savanna, trying to navigate a modern, hyper-social world. It's a tough fit.
Which leads to a really provocative final thought. Our world, the 21st century, is all about complex systems, AI, big data. It seems to demand more and more of that deep systematic thinking.
So the question is, are we actually seeing the environment start to select for this kind of mind again? Is it possible that the next great leap for our civilization will be driven by the very cognitive profile we've been trying to understand as a disorder?
Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.